Part C. Show that the sign of f of x changes in the interval x is 2 to x is 3. So what you do is you substitute in x is 2 into your function. Okay, so 25 times 2 plus 32, or you can sub it into your partial fractions as well if you prefer. 2 times 2 minus 5 is minus 1. 2 plus 1 is 3, and 2 plus 2 is 4. So your function becomes 50 plus 32, 82 over minus 12. Let's just pull the minus to the front. Okay, so that is negative. It doesn't really matter what value it is. Sub in x is 3. 25 times 3 plus 32 over, and then we've got 2 3's, 6 minus 5 is a 1. 3 add 1 is a 4. 3 add 2 is a 5. So that's 75 plus 32, 107 over 20. Okay, and that's positive. Now, normally, if you have a value where it's negative and a value where it's positive, then you would expect to say that somewhere in between, then your graph is going to find a root of the equation. But in this case, we've got a problem, because between x equals 2 and x equals 3, we have x is 2.5, and 2.5 was one of our brackets. Remember, we had a bracket, 2x minus 5. Okay, and our bracket of 2x minus 5 would mean that when x is 2.5 or 2.5 or 5 halves, then the denominator of the fraction is going to equal 0. Okay, it will equal 0 at 3 different values. Okay, 2.5 is one of them, the others are the other two brackets. So that is going to mean that there's a problem on the graph. Okay, we aren't going to have a point on the graph when x is 2.5. So our diagram is not going to look like that. Okay, our diagram is actually going to look like this. At 2.5, we've got an issue that we don't actually get a y coordinate, okay, when x is 2.5. We've got this value down here when x was 2, and we've got this point up here when x was 3. We've just worked those out, but we don't have a place where the graph passes through this vertical line. This is called an asymptote. What could the graph look like? Well, it could do something like this and this. I mean, we don't know. We don't have to really investigate the graph particularly. But because we can see there's a bracket where the value of x from that bracket is going to cause us a problem, it means that this method looking for a root of the equation is not going to work in this case. Okay, so we can just say our change of sign method fails in this question because we have a value of x equals 2.5 gives a, well, let's call it a discontinuity on the graph. Okay, and that would be enough. Okay, you can draw a little diagram if you want, but that's the problem. Normally it should locate a change of sign. There would be a root in between those two values of x is 2 and x is 3, but in this case it doesn't.